Climber, your songs are like seeds. Some are going to grow and bear fruit, and some aren't. But why is that? And how should we adjust to this reality so that we have a greater chance of success? Listen up to find out. Johnny, do that thing.
Welcome to the C.L.I.M.B. This is a show dedicated to helping singers, songwriters, and indie artists like you create leverage in the music business. This show exists because we want you to win. And in order to win, you're going to need leverage. You're going to need proof that your art has value. It's not about the talent. It's about what people think about your talent and be able to prove that. And that goes for songwriters, it goes for indie artists. That's why we call it the C.L.I.M.B, creating leverage in the music business. C.L.I.M.B. See what we're saying? Mm-hmm. That's a faction from my good friend and co-host, Mr. Brent Baxter. Brent's an award-winning hit songwriter who cuts by Alan Jackson, Randy Travis, Lady A, Joe Nichols, and more. What do I mean by more? I mean, couple gospel, Southern gospel number ones, like a top 40 track in Australia for the year. That's a yearly top 40, not a weekly top 40. And still making miracles happen. But what I love about Brent is he helps songwriters like you turn pro by revealing how you write like a pro, do business like a pro. And then the last piece of the puzzle, he introduces you to the pros so that you can step up that ladder, climb that ladder. You can find Brent very easily at songwritingpro.com. Once again, songwritingpro.com.
And I would like to introduce you to my co-host, Johnny Dwinell. Johnny owns Daredevil Production. They're breaking artists digitally by identifying new fans through data. If you're an artist looking to increase your streams, blow up your video views, sell more live show tickets, and get discovered by new fans, TV, and music industry pros, then Daredevil Production can help. Daredevil has worked with multi-platinum artists like Colin Ray, Tracy Lawrence, Ty Herndon, and Andy Griggs, just to name a few. You can find Johnny at daredevilproduction.com. That's production singular, no S, and there is no S because there is no other Johnny D.
How you living?
Oh, like I'm living too large between Thanksgiving and Christmas, and I need to live smaller.
Me too.
But otherwise, I'm good. Hitting the weights a little bit more. I mean, trying not to put on the weight, but the heavy weights that you lift and make your arms bigger.
We're going to talk about seeds?
We are talking about seeds. That's right. So, a little intro to this. I've been enjoying watching The Chosen with my family lately. So it's the show The Chosen, and we've really been enjoying it, and I highly recommend it. But anyway, so it's basically it's the Gospels, right? And it's a show about Jesus. They're on season 3. We're just on season 2 because we are late to the game. But anyway, Jesus makes me cry like every episode. But I've been reading the Bible and doing devotionals for years, but the show has got me back into reading the Gospels and seeing stories there and a little bit of a new light. And anyway, I ran across a parable that I've considered like basing a podcast episode around for a while. I thought it made sense. And I thought, okay, let's just do it. Let's go ahead and pull the trigger on this one and see how this parable applies to songs and songwriters. But I just want to be upfront that, hey, man, if you're not into the Bible, don't worry. While the parable is about something spiritual, today I'm just relating it to songwriting, the music business. So don't let that run you off if like the Jesus thing scares you. The parable is about a spiritual thing, but I'm using that to go, this parable really applies also to songs and songwriters. So just truth in there that I think, so we're going to dive into that.
All right. Well, first, let's take care of a little business here.
Yes.
Make sure that you join the C.L.I.M.B community on Facebook. It's facebook.com/groups/the C.L.I.M B community. Easy to find. You have to ask to be let in. Easy to do. We let everybody in. Easy for us to say. And you just have to be good boys and girls when you get in there. We want to hear all about your personal stuff. We want to brag on you. We want to love on you. We want to hug on you. But you got to put it in the right place, which is consequently, by the way, where you're going to get the most traffic and the most looks at anyway, as opposed to the main feed where that's just for stuff that's really going to be beneficial to everybody. I put news articles in there and different things that I think are important for everybody to read. So, and by the way, anything, humorous, anything cool, anything related to music, indie artists, whatever, man, if it's good, put it in there. Go ahead. But we got some Wednesday wins, right?
We sure do. Every Wednesday, we post the new heights where we encourage you to celebrate your wins so we can celebrate with you. And so let's look at a couple of these here. Will Gunnell said he survived COVID and 2022. So, hey, At the time of recording, there's still like a day left, Will, so don't be cocky. Had some songs licensed for future cuts, made some streaming money, over 165,000 Spotify streams on one
Nice.
song. Met some potential co-writers and looking for more. Going to focus on my songs next year, chasing the leaders and not running with a pack. I don't mean this egotistically, but 2023 is all about me. Happy New Year, everyone. So, all
Good for
right.
him.
Good job, Will. Let's see here. What's another one here? Let's see. Climber Taylor Hughes, it says, I was nominated for 4 Appalachian Art and Entertainment Awards. Would greatly appreciate your support. And been nominated for Female Vocalist, Country Artist, Social Media Influencer, and Original Song. So, Taylor includes a link there where you can go and vote. And that is highly appropriate on these kind of wins on your new heights to put that in the comments. So feel free. So, yep, good job, Taylor and Will and everybody else that's in the comments there. Just
Good job, Taylor.
Keep
Good job,
on
Will.
climbing. That's right.
There we go. All right. So make sure that you subscribe to the podcast or follow the podcast wherever you consume your podcast. We are everywhere, pretty sure.
Pretty much. Yep.
And finally, tell a friend about it. That's what's really, really big. I mean, you spend this time with us. We do not take that for granted. We work very hard to try to keep the information that we share on this podcast relevant and valuable to you. And up to date. So this is, man, if you're finding value in it, somebody else will too. And just please tell them about it, right? That's what we want to see. So, all right, let's get into seeds.
All right. So, congregation, if you have your Bible, and I hope that you do, please open it up to Mark chapter 4, parable of the sower. If you don't have a Bible, there should be one in the seat back in front of you. I'll be reading from the New International Version, the NIV. All right. So, again, this is not going to be a spiritual sermon, but more of a songwriting sermon. And also another disclaimer.
Preach!
Yes, so I don't get struck by lightning, is that it is not my intention to twist scripture for my own ends. I'm not doing that. What I'm about to tell you is not the meaning of the parable, but there are elements of the parable that could also be said about songs and songwriters.
Is that a disclaimer for the Front Row Baptists?
That is a disclaimer because, like, I was telling my wife, she's like, I want to, talk about this, like we've done before with the Proverbs and stuff. But it's like, I want to apply it, but I don't, don't want to be twisting scripture at all. So I'm just making this clear. This is not what the parable is about. It's not about your songs, but.
Because there might be some songwriters out there that believe that the Bible was written about their songs.
I don't know. I just know that,
Jesus knew 2,000 years in advance how awesome I was.
Well, because he's the one that gave me this song. Yeah, I know. So I'm just, I hold the scripture in very high regard. And I just want to make sure I'm like, no, I'm not, using it for my own purpose kind of thing. Anyway, all right. So I'm going to read part of this. And part of this parable, and we're going to apply it to songs. All right, so Jesus is talking here. Let's see here. Let me find it in here. Okay, he said, listen, a farmer went out to sow his seed, and as he was scattering the seed, some fell along the path, and the birds came and ate it up. Some fell on the rocky places where it did not have much soil. It sprang up quickly because the soil was shallow. But when the sun came up, the plants were scorched, and they withered because they had no root. Other seed fell among thorns, which grew up and choked the plants, so they did not bear grain. Still other seed fell on good soil. It came up, grew, produced a crop, multiplied 30, 60, or even 100 times. Then Jesus said, he who has ears to hear, let him hear. So that's the first part of the parable. And man, so for a while now, like I said, I thought this totally sounds like songwriting too.
Yeah.
I'm a songwriter, you think of your songs as seeds. We get the seeds and we pitch them. Like, he's this farmer's throwing out seed. We're pitching our songs. We're making them and we're scattering them around.
Some fall between the rocks and get scorched when they come up. Some fall in the thorns.
Exactly. That's the thing. Like, so I'm going to dive into these a little bit. Like, some are taken by the birds. So our song is our seed. You throw your song out there. Some are taken by the birds. They never have a chance, right? They sit up right on top. They're picked up and gone. And maybe it's the songs that we pitch but never get heard. Maybe the A&R person won't open your email because they don't know you. They don't have the know, like, and trust factor with you. Stuff like that. Or it just goes into a black hole. Maybe it's just stuff you never pitch. That kind of stuff. Just snatched up, just never has a chance to get heard. And so that's one of the things with our songs. And there's going to be a lesson in this and kind of how do we apply this, right? So next up, we have the seeds that fall into the shallow soil. So maybe these are songs that you write with baby artists that just never take off. shallow soil, right? Or
Yeah.
maybe the artist on a label cut your song, but the record never comes out. I've been
Mm.
there. I've been there a couple times where like, great, I got a cut on so and so. Who? It doesn't matter. They're not on the label anymore. I've
Yeah.
had a few stories of that. And you did your job, but the ground was just too shallow. I threw the seed, man. It looked all right, but it turns out it was rocky and just there wasn't enough for the root to go down there. The
I
artist
like this
didn't.
already. I like where this is going.
Yeah, the artist just wasn't. The artist didn't take off, man. It wasn't good
Yeah.
soil. Doesn't matter how good the seed was. Soil, dude. So next up, we have the thorny ground. Your song gets choked out, right? So maybe your song gets bumped at the last minute because the artist is more emotionally invested in one they just wrote themselves. They just had a breakup. They wrote it about Sally, the heartbreaker. And this is going on the record because I wrote this and I'm more emotionally invested, right? Or the song, you know, that has the right publishing or the right brand name writer bumps yours off at the last minute. I don't know. We got this Ashley Gorley thing in, and and also we have a share of the publishing on the other writer, that kind of thing. Or your song makes the record, but it's never going to be a single because the artist didn't write on it.
Yeah.
Thorns, baby, thorns.
The horns
So
everywhere.
chokes it out, right? There's going to be, you just kind of, just like the farmer throwing those seeds out on the ground just has to allow for a certain amount of that. There's going to be loss that way. Some of the birds
Yep.
are going to get some of the soil isn't as good as it looks, going to be shallow, and the thorns are going to get. That's just part of it, right? But every once in a while, our song seed falls on good soil. It comes up, it grows, it produces a good crop, and that's when the song gets cut, it comes out, people listen, and you make a little bit of money. That's the good soil, where
Yep.
all the conditions are right. It's like, oh, I got
Mhm.
it to an artist that is not, a shallow artist, or it's a situation where the thorns don't choke it out, and it's allowed to get the sun and the rain and everything, and actually make a crop. And just like the farmer knows that, he's like, all these seeds don't have to work. But if I do this consistently, enough of them will have the good spot and will grow and reap a harvest that's many times bigger. I don't need every seed to work.
Yep.
So, how should this parable affect how you think and how you do business as a songwriter? To me, some of what it says is, one, you just have to understand that's how it works and not
Mhm.
take it so personally. Like the farmer's not just crying over every bird that comes and gets a
Right.
seed, right? You can't put all your hope in one or two songs. Just like the sower doesn't control what the birds steal and the thorns choke, you don't control the future of your song. Now, you do control your end of it, which is writing and pitching a lot of songs and pitching and repitching your best songs again and again. You can't focus on the rejection, on the no's, on the thorns, on the birds, and the seeds that never sprout up, or the ones that look like they were going to be good for a minute, but then it turns out, man, that was really shallow soil. Turns out the
Mhm.
artist just didn't have the legs, right? You got to keep moving forward. And hopefully, like you do that consistently, you trust the process. Hopefully, eventually, you get to enjoy a good harvest in due time. And so for me, it's like consistency. Keep sowing, keep spreading those seeds around, keep pitching those songs, keep writing those songs. Don't get too invested in just one or two songs. And so that's a big thing I think and just don't take it personal.
Yeah.
Just don't take it. You just got to keep trucking. So I thought that was a good parable for
I
songs.
mean, I'm thinking about the interviews that we did, the Cuts and Bruises interviews we did at Nashville Nights in
Mm-hmm.
Denmark.
Yeah.
And we talked about the cut. Everybody
Mm-hmm.
liked the cut. And they're like, okay, let's talk about the bruises. And they're like, oh God, there's so many. Which
Yeah. Where
one?
do I start?
For every cut, I have like 1,500 bruises.
You want that alphabetical? You want that chronological? You want that? How
Yeah.
do you want?
So for every handful of seeds I've thrown out, for every 15 handfuls of seeds I've thrown out, with 100 seeds in each handful, I got one cut story.
Yeah. I mean, it's ridiculous. Yeah. I mean, especially if you consider pitches,
Yeah. Yeah.
tons.
I mean, you got it. It's a lot of seeds, man. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like tadpoles, it's like tadpoles and fish
Yeah.
eggs and the way, I mean, listen, they know this is the way nature works. Like here's a boatload of them and only, a small handful are going to survive.
Yeah. And that's enough.
Yep.
And so you just have to realize that's the nature of the business. And you got to adapt to that and go, okay, well, I'm not going to just write two songs and see how that goes. if
Yeah,
you're a
which by the way
songwriter,
blows out the whole business model of I'm just gonna see how these 3 songs do before I decide if I'm
yeah,
gonna be a
that's not a
songwriter.
business model. That's a failure
That's a
model.
protection racket. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, then you're not a
You're giving yourself
songwriter.
permission to not write any more songs because nobody liked these first 3 that you wrote.
Yeah, then I was reading in Hacking Music by our friends Wade Sutton and John Pashada
Mhm.
this morning. I was looking through it and it's talking about missionaries versus mercenaries. And, if you're just like, I'm going to see how these work out, you're a mercenary. You're not a missionary. Missionary is passionate about it, does it because they believe in it. And
Yeah.
applying that to this, it's like, I'm a songwriter. Like, I'm kind of a missionary in that way. Like, I don't do it for the money. Yes, the money's important, but I'm going to be writing songs because I love it, because I'm passionate about it.
Or you're gonna be
That's
climbing a tower with a gun. Yeah.
so yeah, I need to be doing this. Mercenary, they're the one that go, well, I'll see if I can make some money at this. Then I'll do some more. You're not
That's
going
a
to make
good
any money
point.
at
I
it.
love that.
Like,
Yeah.
no, then you're not a songwriter. You just want to be
Yeah. I mean,
successful at this thing. There are easier ways to make money, dude.
yeah. Yeah. There's way more money. If it's all about the money, go find something else to do because this is not where you wanna
Like,
be, you
oh,
know?
okay, I've written these 3 songs. I'm going to go to med school. You pitch those
Yeah.
songs, you go to med school, see what makes you the first dollar. you know?
Exactly. In 10 years in 10 years' time, you're
Yeah.
making way more money as a doctor than
Right.
as a beginning doctor,
Hmm.
right? Like, yeah.
Yes. So that's the thing about the parable of like seeds as songs. Keep writing songs, keep pitching songs. There are going to be birds, there's going to be thorns, there's going to be shallow ground. That's just how it goes.
Yep.
Keep going. Keep going. All right. So now I'm going to read the next part of Mark chapter 4, and where Jesus explains the parable. Let's get down to this. He goes, okay, the farmer sows the word. So he's talking about like the word of God here. Some people are like the seed along the path where the word is sown. As soon as they hear it, Satan comes and takes away the word that was sown in them. Others, like seed sown on rocky places, hear the word and at once receive it with joy. But since they have no root, they only last a short time. When trouble or persecution comes because of the word, they quickly fall away. Still others, like seed sown among thorns, hear the word, but the worries of this life, the deceitfulness of wealth, and the desires for other things come in and choke the word, making it unfruitful. Others, like seed sown on good soil, hear the word, accept it, and produce a crop 30, 60, or even 100 times what was sown. So that's where Jesus, explains the parable of the seeds to the disciples. And for me, this applies also to songwriters, or I can take this framework of this parable and apply it to songwriters. So let's see, the first seeds, the ones that the birds steal,
Mhm.
and I think those are songwriters who never really believe they can make it. The doubters and the haters steal that seed, that seed of that dream in their heart before it ever really gets a chance. You
Yeah.
got this thing like, oh man, maybe I could be a songwriter, an artist, I could do this thing. And your doubters and your haters and the people that are jealous or whatever, the crabs in the bucket, they whether
Yep.
they steal that, and you let them steal that. Maybe
Yeah,
these
they steal it with your permission.
with your permission, right? So maybe these writers are too afraid of failure or of looking foolish, or they just believe the lie of, well, people like me don't do things like that. People from this area, people from this town, we don't go on to
Mhm.
do things. We don't leave town. We don't,
Mhm.
eh. And so that's the bird, man. Or, here it talks about the devil, but here I think, what is the devil? He's a hater, right? The haters come and they steal that.
Yep.
And next up, you have the songwriters that are like the seed on rocky places. These are the songwriters that are like, man, I'm super excited. I'm all about this thing. I wrote my first song at a party with a guy that had a guitar, and man, I'm all about this now. They get in, they're super, white hot about this thing, but they exist on emotion, right?
Mhm.
And they don't learn the craft. And they can't handle adversity, and they quit. They're more like,
Mhm.
I got these 3 songs. Let me shop around, see what happens, kind of thing
Yep.
too. Or it's like, oh, I'm all fired up about this. I'm writing some songs, but then they get that first no, or that first non-answer, or somebody doesn't want to write with them, or somebody doesn't really like it, and they don't learn the craft. They're just going on emotion because it feels so good. But the root, man, the root They don't have
They like
roots.
the idea of being a songwriter.
They like the idea of it. They love it. They love maybe even some of the process of writing, but they don't love the craft to get. They
Yeah.
aren't a student of the game. They don't have a
Yeah.
hunger to like, I want to be great at this. It's fun. It's a party, but they don't have the roots. And so, man, when that persecution comes, when the rejection comes, when the negativity comes, when the people are like, I don't know if this is, you're really going to quit your job and move to Nashville or New York or LA or wherever.
Yeah.
No root, and they wither. So there's
Yeah.
songwriters like that, and artists as well. I mean, everything about writers applies to artists as well. Then you have the thorns, and I think the thorns is what's really interesting. And the level I'm on, I deal with probably more of that. But thorns is, Jesus says, what does he says here? Others like, okay, seed sown among thorns, hear the word, but the worries of this life, the deceitfulness of wealth, and the desires of other things come in and choke the word, making it unfruitful. So you could, say you get the music, you get the muse, right? But the worries of this world, the deceitfulness of riches, steal it, and you become unfruitful. So what is that? Like the worries of life. Man, I got to keep up with the Joneses. I got to have the nicer house. I can't go wait tables in Nashville. I'm too good for that. Right. So I'm not
Yeah.
moving until
That'll be a step
I'm not going
back.
to look foolish. I'm not going to do this open mic night. I'm too good for that. Or, man, I really like a nice truck, or I really want to live in this part of town.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, your bills are too high and you can't make it and you're moving home, or you can't,
Or you
you
find
can't.
another job to support your life habit.
Exactly. Now it's like on top of your, publishing deal, you're having to do all sorts of other stuff to support your lifestyle. It's the worries of this world. What are people going to think? I haven't made it yet. And it chokes it out, man. And you become unfruitful. How many people have, their pride have kept them from success in music? Because
Yeah.
I want to live in this part of town. I'm not willing to move to that part of town where stuff is cheaper, or have roommates, or
Yep.
deliver pizzas, wait tables, whatever I got to do to get my feet on the ground. I mean, Johnny, you did Uber. I waited tables. I did
Yep.
stuff to help get our businesses off the ground and to feed us. And for me, I waited tables at Cracker Barrel. And at this point, I never waited tables before. Never wanted to. I have,
With a college education.
with a master's degree.
I didn't know about the master's degree.
I have like MBA, like Master's of Business Administration. So like I got college and postgraduate master's degree, and I'm like wearing.
Did you want some cinnamon apples with
and
that?
all people are more worried about is like how many stars you got on your apron.
Yeah.
And that was humbling for me. But I'm here to win. And also I was living with my uncle's mother-in-law,
Yep.
renting a room and working at Cracker Barrel, but also working part-time at Blue Water Music and in
Yep.
their admin department doing data entry. So
Got a
nothing
foot in there.
sexy, but man,
Learn
it
some
gave me a
stuff.
reason to go to the row every day. And I freaking love that. And I got to see
Yeah.
Jim Lauderdale in the office and Charlie Steffel and, that kind of stuff. So I love that, but it was still not the sexy part of the business. It was still just foot in the door, looking at other people's royalty statements and how they're making money. And I'm not at the music thing. But yeah, it's the worries of life. It's that other stuff. Like, are you willing to, Dave Ramsey says, you got to be willing to live like nobody else so that later you can live like nobody else,
Yeah. And,
And that,
the worries of life too is like, I think there's so much of that is applied to like what people worry about is like, how do they look?
mm-hmm. Yeah.
What are other people going to think about me?
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, personally, I've just never subscribed to that. I've always subscribed to the, what other people think about me is none of my business.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's not. So I know who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I know I come from a good place. I mean, Daredevil on paper does not look good.
Yeah.
Especially coming off the kind of money I made in the financial industry.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. And it doesn't, I look like an idiot.
Yeah.
On paper, but I was just doing some year-end reports this past week. I mean, we've had the best year we ever had.
Awesome.
Which was like last year was the best year I ever had. The year
Yeah.
before that was the best year I ever had. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So it keeps climbing. It's slow. We haven't hit the hockey stick part of it yet,
Yeah.
but I think that might be this year. I think we might be there kinda,
Awesome.
where we're really gonna kinda blow up, but, um, 'cause you know what? Like, and this I'm not trying to scratch my own back here, but I mean, I just wanna share this, like, it was about it's about the craft of it, It's about the
Mhm.
dent I wanna leave in the universe. Like, I know
Yeah.
I can go make money. I can go make a shitload of money
Mhm.
selling it, like, literally doing what I do. I had this conversation with Janelle one time because you know what? I mean, just real talk, like, we've had this conversation too, like, "Why don't you go do that?" And I'm like,
Yeah.
"Because this is what I'm doing." You know what I mean?
It's
And you
like,
really need to be okay with that because this is the way this is gonna happen. But I
well, it's
said,
kinda like the old, Incredible Hulk TV show with Bill Bixby. "Don't
"Yeah.
make me angry. You wouldn't
Yeah."
like me when I'm angry." It's kinda like, "Don't make me sell out. You wouldn't like me
Well,
if
and
I sell." Like,
that's
I wouldn't
exactly the
be the guy
conversation
that you
we had.
fell in love with. Like, why? Because 'Cause I'm gonna be bitter and I'm not gonna be happy. I might have some money in my wallet, but,
But and the
you don't.
reality is, like, with our number one client right now, like, we took a seven-figure company and doubled their sales, doubled
Mhm.
the amount of money they made during the pandemic by completely retrofitting them to digital. They went completely digital
Yeah.
on all of their marketing and all their sales. And I said, "What's the difference between that guy and me?" To Janelle. And she's like, well, and she wasn't, I mean, she's worried, she's not,
Yeah.
I don't want anybody to think like she's coming down on me. She's not. She's just so legitimately concerned about how it looks on paper.
Mhm.
And so this is a conversation you have to have with your loved one. And I'm like, because I mean, we do well, but
Mhm. Not
it's not
extravagant.
7 figures yet, man.
Yeah.
And I said, the only difference is it's an insurance license.
Yeah.
I'm doing the marketing for that guy. I know how to sell like that guy. I've already proven
Mhm.
that,
Yeah.
like, so literally, I can get this going tomorrow and just outmarket everybody
Mhm.
and do it if it was about the money, you know what I mean? But it's like, it's not the dent I wanna make. I wanna
Yeah.
become a master craftsman of digital marketing, and I love artists, and I love songwriters, and I wanna see them get paid, and that's gonna be my legacy, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, because I'm gonna change the world with that in some
Mhm.
small way. I'm going to do that, and I think that's the approach that you have to have, from that songwriting thing. You could just gotta be from the passion, it's gotta be from the love
Mhm.
of it to do that. And for those that are listening, I mean, we've said this before in the podcast, but I've had many months in the financial industry when I was doing that thing with the radio show where I made more money in 1 month than probably you have in a whole year.
Mhm.
Fact.
Yeah.
Than most people, you know. Um, and it was just chaos, you know what I mean? And then,
Mhm.
for it all to shut down
Mhm.
in a meltdown.
Yeah.
Right? And for them just to close Wall Street and say, "You know what? We're closing. We can't Nobody can sell any product until we figure out what the hell happened." And it took over a year for that to happen.
Wow.
And I didn't have enough passion and mortgages to wanna stick around, you know what I mean? And so I just thought, "Well,
Yeah.
this is freaking ridiculous." Like, so I get wiped out by no fault of my own, you know what
Right.
I mean?
Yeah.
Like, the government said, "You can't sell your widget anymore
Mhm.
until we say you can," or the industry did, whoever it was. But I learned, like, I can get this kind of chaos doing what I really wanna do. You're always gonna have chaos. You're always
Yeah.
gonna have bills.
Mhm.
You're always gonna have, "Well, I got bills to pay." You're always gonna have bills to pay.
Yeah.
That's never gonna stop.
Right.
So, you're gonna have to come up with something better to if you're being intellectually honest with yourself about wanting to do this and sow
Mhm.
these seeds, right?
Yeah. And, what is your like, my stuff didn't look good on paper. I mean, I guess both of us in certain regards, like, "Oh, that's cool. They gotta go to Denmark and hang out with, you know, these cool people, the creatives, or you get to know, these famous people or hang out and do this thing that's really cool." And like, yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
That part was good on paper, but also, like, man, if you saw the cars we drive and the
yeah,
house we're living in, that's not going to be like, yes. I mean, I like our house. Emily's really done a good job making it, maximizing how it looks in there. And she's got a good eye for
mhm,
that stuff. But but it's, it's middle class at best, so nothing
Yeah.
fancy there. And, but
But you are your own boss.
yes. And I'm, right outside my house. I'm going to go in a minute, help Emily out because she wants to go run and exercise. So I'm just going to have lunch in the house, do a little bit of work in the house while some of the kids are around, so I get to see them when I go in for lunch.
Yeah.
I get to be off, and, at 3 when Hazel gets off the school bus, and, then I'm on kid time for a while and family time and have a lot more flexibility. Like when I've day job before, I didn't have that kind of flexibility. I
Yeah.
mean, we just made a trip to go see some family, and Emily was going to take the kids and go. And then I was going to stay with Hazel because she doesn't travel well. And, then at the last minute, we just made a change up where I was going to take the kids and she was going to stay with Hazel because that just was going to kind of just work better. I didn't have to ask anybody's permission. I just had to reschedule a couple things, shuffle, co-write, whatever. But I was like, I didn't have to go to the boss and go, man, I'm sorry, it's last minute. Or tell my wife,
Yeah.
no, you need to go make that drive because I
Yeah.
got to work. Like I have to work, but yeah, I did a lot of it on the road, just talking to people, right? I
Yeah.
made some phone calls, and then I did
Yeah.
some while I was gone. And it's like, that's kind of pay that didn't show up on paper.
That's right.
And so are you willing to go, yeah, some people think I'm nuts and that we're just probably just living on a prayer. Whoa. Just can't let those thorns drown that stuff out, So, and then the last one here is the good soil, right? And so that's the one, good soil. And they hear the word, they accept that produce a crop 30, 60, or even 100 times what was sown. And so that good soil, I think, is, part of it's out of our control. Maybe just, hey, man, I'm blessed. I was born in America,
Yeah.
where there's freedom. And I didn't have to ask permission to move from Arkansas to Tennessee and say, I want to get this job and do this thing.
Yeah.
There's freedoms to do that. My parents were worried, but, supportive. It wasn't like dad's going to cut me out of the will. I didn't have like big barriers or whatever. And heck, I was single
You didn't have an
at the
asshole
time too.
dad either. Yeah.
Didn't have that. No, my parents are great. And
Yeah.
I didn't have a wife that was like, no, my family's here. If you leave, you're going without me. I was single at the time. So, hey, but, so part of that may just be a little bit out of control as far as, stuff you have stacked against you, but we all have stuff stacked against you. I don't sing. I don't play an instrument very well. I didn't know anybody in the business. Nobody sent for me. Okay, we all,
What
we
business
all
you
have
want to be in?
things.
Music industry, I think.
Yeah. Do you sing? Nope. You play
That
an
doesn't
instrument?
look good
Not
on
really.
paper at all. Wait, you don't sing? No.
No.
You don't really play an instrument? No.
Nope. What are you gonna do? Write songs for a living? You know anybody? Nope.
Hold on. Hold my beer.
Yeah. Okay. Sure. Like, you super charismatic? Nope.
I disagree with that.
Oh,
That's
thanks.
not truthful at all.
So, it's like, what do you got going for you? I got a 96 Pontiac is going to make that 300-mile trip. That's what I got.
A used Grand Am.
And I got my uncle's mother-in-law with a room open that I can mow the lawn, work off some of the rent, and I'll go find a job when I get there.
So
right?
You're saying there's a chance.
Amen, brother. But the good soul,
I got mad respect for that, bro.
Oh, thanks, man.
I got mad respect for that. I mean, when I came to Nashville, I spent a Monday going home after the band broke up, and I had another tour opportunity with like a major label artist to be a singer for a major label artist that at the last minute decided to hop off the wagon and back on the heroin. And then I'm just like, crap, So,
yeah.
The industry shut down the hairband thing.
Yeah.
We were doing really good. I mean, I was just talking about that with Dave Gordon, who did he was a producer on all those ZZ Top videos from the Eliminator record.
Oh, yeah.
And he did a bunch of Allman Brothers stuff, and so
Cool.
we go way back, and him and Bud, our producer from the Brothers, were always like, just, bragging about the kids. We're the kids,
Yeah.
It's like, look at how good the kids are doing, man, and they're just so proud of us and everything. And we had this festival, the Nashville Nights thing that we did in Arizona, just before Christmas. And he lives in Arizona. I'm like, dude, come out and hang out, man. I want to show you to all these guys and show you around and brag to everybody. And we were just talking, and he was just like, man, it still pains him. He's like, you guys were so right there. You were so close, And
Yeah.
then they just stopped hair stuff. I'm like, I
Yeah.
know. What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna
You
do?
know what I mean? But I have to drive home,
Mhm.
back to Wisconsin, come back with my tail between my legs a little bit,
Yeah.
and I didn't know what the next step was gonna be, and I stayed in Nashville one night. Saw
Mhm.
Earl Bud Lee, who I didn't know who the hell Earl Bud Lee was, had no idea, but I knew that song, and I didn't even listen to country music. And I
Lives
was
in low
like,
places.
yeah, at a dive bar on
Mhm.
a writers' night thing, and I'm like, "Are you freaking kidding me? Like, this is a Monday night in Nashville? I'm
Yeah.
moving here." And I just moved here, I didn't know a damn soul, not one
Yeah.
per I didn't have an aunt, I just had
Yeah.
a pickup truck that I just bought because I was moving to Nashville. I thought I should have one, and,
It's your Nashville
I could get
starter
a
kit.
bartending gig, you know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
bartended. I mean, that was it, and I just gonna step into it?
Yeah.
So I got mad respect for that, bro, that
I
what you
love
did.
it.
That's
Love it. So that good soil, I think that's the writers who do the work. They're willing to put in the work and to sacrifice. So they want to learn the craft. They're students of the game. Learn the craft, do the work. I think those are the writers that have a chance.
yeah,
The ones that are avoiding the thorns and going, no, this is my goal. Do these other things, lifestyle choices and whatever, are these supporting my goal or not? Now, which I'm not saying make a complete idol out of that, but like you got to be strategic and mindful and intentional about how you pursue this thing and to make the most of it. So you want to be the good soil. You want to put in the work. You want to learn the craft. Don't give in when times get tough, because they will.
yep,
They will get. I mean, talk about, hey, it's either feast or famine. I'm like, in the music business, it's kind of fast or famine.
yeah.
I'm taking a little break from food, or food's taking a break from me.
That's the truth, too, faster, famine.
Yeah. So it's coming. It's coming. But at the same time, knowing that you also have to protect your optimism. You have to protect that, because optimism is so precious. I mean,
That's the hope.
it is, man.
That's the
I think
hope.
I mentioned this before. I was sitting around a campfire with Matt Klein last night, and we're just reminiscing and catching up on stuff and talking about, so and so that, oh man, he's gotten pretty jaded and bitter. And it's like, yeah, and it's like, I'm scared to be around that stuff, because that stuff is contagious.
Yep.
Like, no, I got my little optimism over here that I'm protecting this little baby.
Yeah.
Don't get away from my optimism. You step back. I mean, you got to be realistic about stuff so you can adjust. And the cheese has been moved, from that book, Who
Yep.
Moved My Cheese? You got to be
Yeah.
realistic about, okay, things have changed. So you got to be realistic, but also you got to protect your optimism and your love for songwriting. You have to protect your love for that.
And
And
your passion, man. Like, I mean, that stuff,
exactly.
like, it just the toxicity of that,
Hmm.
just the negativity of it. Not like you and me can vent to one another, and we're
Hmm.
coming from a place of passion, and we're just venting about speed bump.
Hmm.
And I know when you're venting to me, it's a speed bump to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But when somebody's just completely bought into,
It's
"It's never gonna
hopeless.
happen for me.
It's terrible.
It's all
Yeah.
over," that's just toxic, and that just pisses me off.
Mhm.
For no other reason than the protection that you said, like,
Yeah.
don't talk about my baby that way. Like,
Right. Yeah, no, I'm sorry, I can't buy into that conversation, because if it's over for you, it might be over for me. And of course, we don't
yep,
have conversations like it's over and it's never gonna happen.
that's right.
With that's not part of our belief system, operating system.
No,
No, it's not. That's not part of my vocabulary. It's more like,
exactly right.
oh, this challenge is kicking my butt or whatever, but it's all under the big paradigm of solving the problem,
Yeah,
getting the way, finding the path to success. It's
yeah,
all about that. It's like, yeah, that's hard. This is difficult. Man, I'm not sure where the path is up that mountain, but I'm looking for it. And I think I'm going
yep,
to try this thing and see if that works. It's all about that.
yes.
It's a
Yeah,
different
man, and,
mindset.
I wanna add this, like, so what's important to everybody in this industry is really that because there's so much, like, marquee value, there's so much, intoxication with marquee value, with the
Hmm.
lifestyle, with the and it's misguided, right? It's misguided. Like, people understand how writers live. A
Yeah.
lot of Janelle talks about this a lot. Like, you were talking about Nashville Nights and everything. And she's like, these people, they go over there and these people see them and they think they live these rich lives and they don't understand like how broke they are half the time. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? When they're doing it, trying to get that bigger break, that bigger, until they can get that momentum going. And
Mhm.
um, so there's an intoxication, there's a misunderstanding of all things entertainment. Same
Mhm.
thing with actors, the same thing with being
Yeah.
an artist, as a songwriter. Like they have this story in their head that's largely inaccurate.
Right, because most of our pay is the work. The
Yes,
work is
exactly.
the pay. I get paid
Yes.
a little bit in dollars, but a lot of times I get paid by being able to do the work.
Yeah, and be free to do it, right?
Exactly.
And like, to your point before, like, I decide, I say who, I say when, we're gonna do
Mhm.
this, we're gonna do that. I got all kinds of flexibility. I don't have to answer to anybody.
Mhm.
But you do good business, and so there's people to
Exactly.
answer to that are your clients and your coworkers and your
Mhm.
colleagues and that kind of stuff. But the point being that you don't have somebody else deciding whether or not you can take a vacation or not. It's
Right.
you that decides, and you're gonna make the right choice.
Mhm.
But, man, the cream, this is one of the things that stuck with me. I can't I it when it was told to me, it just hit me over the head like a 2-ton heavy thing.
Mhm.
The cream always rises to the top.
Mhm.
The cream of this business is much smaller than you think it is.
Mhm.
Way, way smaller than you think it is, and the cream rises to the top, and what they want are, we've how many countless publishers have we had that, have we've had on the show, or that if you've had in your uh, play for publisher events, where
Mhm.
they're like, hey, if we get a great song and we freak out on it, one of these kinds of things, man, awesome, good for us. But what we're really looking for is not the golden egg, it's the goose that lays
Yep.
the golden egg. We
Mhm.
want the songwriter. We want a good song. If I want to try to identify some people that I think have good songwriters in them, which
Mhm.
means, and this is just basically, this is the long and the short of it, they're interested in being a good songwriter, not
Mhm.
interested in the idea of being a good
Right.
songwriter and what that means according to the story in their head that's misguided, that I was just talking about.
Mhm.
No, like, I really am interested in writing a better song today than I did yesterday,
Mhm.
and then doing the same thing tomorrow and the same thing the day after that. And I go back to and add another notch in the post for freaking Ava Page. But, talking about that girl, watching her, like, her first songs, her first record
Mhm.
was not good.
Yeah.
She was 12,
Yeah.
but it was like, cheesy fishing song.
Yeah, it was
It
probably good for
wasn't.
12.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, it
Yeah.
was well done. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't some horrible sounding demo thing or whatever, but the songs were like, "Nah."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But she was 12, but she was seriously interested in 2 things. 1, being a great guitar picker,
Mhm.
and 2, being a better songwriter. And in the course of just a couple years,
Mhm.
worked her way worked her way into high mid-level and low high level writing rooms
Mhm.
with people, and lots of different writers. Why? Because she just when and when she started that journey, she was coming in with those not so great songs that I told you under her belt.
Mhm.
That was her leverage. It
Yeah.
wasn't great, but she was interested in being better. And that's what they attached to,
Mhm.
right? Was that she was truly on the path to wanting to do this. And so they enjoyed working with her
Yeah.
because, you know what I mean? Because she wanted to be better. And I think that's just one thing that you'll find in this community, in the music industry, is that the people that really matter, that can really change your lives, are the ones that are really going to want to help you when they find out how hard you're really working.
Yeah.
And that's what they're going to respect. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Is that, and so
Well,
the
for
more
one
you
thing, we've
work, the better
all
you're going to get, the higher you're going to rise.
yeah, for one thing, we've all invested in people that just weren't working hard.
Yeah.
And what happened there? Nothing.
Yep.
Like, I have no interest in working with people that aren't working hard. They aren't working as hard as I am. Why? Because they're gonna fail. So
Yeah.
why would I invest in that?
Exactly.
It's just a
Exactly.
poor
And
investment.
delusional stuff. I mean, I got an artist I've talked about a million times on the podcast. I'm not going to mention a name now, so I'm going to say something negative, but that that came in, worked their butts off when we told them to work their butts off, and then it all blew apart in a year because one person had a delusion that they were going to get a record deal and then get paid a bunch of money and then be able to go back home. And like, we never knew that. You know what I mean? It was just like, I never thought to ask. Like, raise your hand. How do you think this is going to work? You know what I mean? I do it now with artists. Yeah. I'm like, hey, just let's be clear. How long do you think this is going to take? You know?
Yeah.
Like, how long are you willing to fight? Because if I'm going to invest my time, which I did with this artist, and we got a great record, and I just, I was just so excited about him, but it didn't work out. What? Because, and they were even working hard up until the point that they weren't.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's just, there's so much of that. If you just outwork everybody, the cream rises to the top, but you can't outwork everybody unless you make that choice to begin working and to not worry about what it looks on paper, to not let the naysayers and the negators come in and blow you out of the water, and not give them permission to change your mind, and just go be a good freaking songwriter.
Yeah.
And it really is that simple. Like, I remember that guy that we met. I can't remember his name right now. I'm hating myself for it, but he was the guy that grew up with Ashley Gorley.
Okay.
He was the guy that hipped me to the fact that Ashley even knew who we were.
Yeah.
Which I just, I might get a tattoo that says Ashley knows about my podcast. I don't know. But he was like, yeah, man, Ashley was heading down from Kentucky to go to Nashville, and I went into the military, and Ashley was trying to tell me to come down, and I went in the military first, and he did that, and then I was done. I went back, and then now he's got a pub deal. He's got all this stuff because Ashley obviously knew him well enough to know if you come here and just be you, you're going to rise to the top because you'll figure it out. You'll learn. And that was one of the things when he first came to town. He goes, here's a bunch of different podcasts. Listen to these. And we were one of them. And it was like, yes. You know what I mean? It's so good information. But he's saying, now go to work, figure this out. And he knew that his friend who he grew up with would figure it out because he knew that the cream would rise at the top. You know what I mean? It's like, it's so doable if you have your head on a swivel and the right mindset. It's so absolutely doable to slide right into this community and become a valued member of it.
Oh yeah, it is. I mean, just like, thinking about the Denmark thing, which I think is just a kind of a microcosm of, the business. So I got to go on this trip. I knew you, and I knew a couple other people on there, but there are a lot of people there I didn't know. And like the way you conduct yourself, that would have been a way for me to fail really quickly. Like,
in front of a lot of people.
Like, now we all know Brent and we don't like him.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know. It would have taken me, a couple of years to meet all those people and let them know they don't like me.
Yeah.
So it's like, what is it? Good marketing.
In 3 days.
I know.
5 days.
Let's say good marketing lets bad products fail faster, but it is, or people can like you, and then you have opportunity and you do good work, and then people are welcoming because it's just this collaborative effort. But I think, the seed also, you think about the seed being the muse, and it falls on different writers, and you want to be the good soil. You don't want to be the shallow soil. You don't want to be the bird snatches it away. You don't want to be the one that's going to get tangled up in thorns. You want to be the good soil. You want to do the work, and then as the sower, also your songs on the other side of it, you want to keep writing, keep pitching, keep doing the deal. And hopefully you'll get that harvest. Hey, before we go, I want to give you all a free gift. It's called 6 Simple Ways to Make Your Songs More Commercial. And it helps you do just what the title says. I'm not all for mysterious titles, except for maybe for the title of this episode, but 6 simple ways. You can get that at 6 simpleways.songwritingpro.com. It's a free PDF. We also give you access to some audio if you're more of an audio learner, and then give you some other cool stuff along the way. Just go to 6simpleways.songwritingpro.com. Tell me where to send it. We send it right out to you. Easy peasy. And it'll help you write songs that artists want to sing and fans want to hear again and again. And that's my gift to you. So thanks for hanging in with us here.
Right on, guys. Well, that brings us to the end of another Killer Climb episode. And make sure you follow the podcast, join the Climb community, tell a friend about it. This podcast exists because we want you to win, so keep on climbing.
And we'll see you at the top.